Welcome to the Daily Objective. I'm Jonathan Daon and joined by James Valiant. Hello, James. Uh,
Howdy, Jonathan. How you doing?
I'm doing very well. And today we are delving deep into none other than Hunter Biden, the son of you know who. I was very surprised that he's of this kind of crowd, actually, James. I would have thought his father would be quite displeased with this. But I suppose we will go and really find out where his views stand, who his friends are. I found it all very surprising. Um,
I
Anything
think this
before we start, James?
this is a gathering of the loser fringe. Really, I think there's no other way to understand this than serious people take neither Tucker Carlson nor Hunter Biden seriously, and so they're huddling together for warmth, if you will, as the world takes them less and less seriously. Just a historical note: Tucker Carlson was ruthless to Hunter Biden and the laptop and what was on it and his evaluations of Hunter Biden for quite some time in public on American television. I recall hearing repeatedly Tucker Carlson going really hard after Hunter Biden. So, yeah, they're sort of mending fences and building bridges and huddling together for warmth. But I can only suspect that that's because no one takes either seriously. When the Hunter Biden laptop came out, you understand, just to recall the context, there was a lot of controversy about the millions of dollars that Hunter Biden, the son of the president, and the brother of the president were taking from foreign entities, foreign governments, and foreign corporations in China, Romania, Ukraine, you name it. And so there was a lot of controversy because seemed to be tens of millions of dollars flowing for no apparent reason into the coffers of members of the Biden family. Critics saw it as an influence peddling scheme, which it sort of appears on the surface of it. Of course, in order to refute that, because the laptop that Hunter Biden had and that was simply found, apparently was left at a repair shop, contained all kinds of information that was relevant to that. When they found the laptop, all kinds of other stuff about his drug use with prostitutes, and other aspects of his irresponsible life about Hunter Biden came out. And when the laptop came out, all the major intelligence officials from the Obama administration declared this to be a foreign fake. I mean, they said so. They said so because the information was coming out just before the election in 2020. And so on the eve of the election before 2020, bred in a whole bunch of top intelligence officials in the previous Democrat administration, and some from the George W. Bush administration, declared this to be a fake when we all know now that the laptop was genuine. So that's the context here. And Tucker Carlson was ruthless on Hunter Biden at the time. Now I guess he's agreeing that the laptop, I'm not sure what he thinks about the laptop or what it means about the Hunter Biden crime, the Biden crime family stuff, whether it was an influence peddling scheme, what it was, the scandal it was to have all these intelligence officials getting it wrong and assuring us of what was simply a lie at the time. So I'm not sure where Tucker Carlson stands on all that, because he's now making buddy with Hunter Biden.
I suppose there's one subject that seemed to unite Tucker with Hunter Biden. Also, this reminds me of another person he suddenly besties with, that is Nick Fuentes. For those of you who remember, I think we covered it on one of the shows here. It seems that the subject, to me, James, it seems like subject of anti-Semitism and Jew hatred somehow seems to bring together old nemesis.
That's it. In this case in particular, through this interview, I mean, it's like a 2.5 hour long interview, but in this 2 hour plus interview, that seems to be the main area where they agree. And that is, and if I were to, if they both like Candace Owen, if they're both being chatty with each other and saying, yeah, we disagree on politics, then you have to ask yourself, well, what is it that they agree on? What is causing them to huddle together for warmth? And the one thing I can find is an opposition to Israel, is a denial of the anti-Semitism that is now rampant across the world. Yeah, you look at what Hunter Biden's dad did to Israel. I mean, we covered it on this show. It was despicable. Now, I don't like some of the things Trump is forcing on Israel. But Joe Biden was absolutely atrocious when it came to Israel's security needs. And so Hunter Biden, I suppose, is defending Dad's legacy. And so now he's getting social and friendly with anti-Semites.
So let's hear from the man himself.
Well, let's start with the trailer that Tucker Carlson has posted
Oh,
on
right.
his
We have a
X.
beautiful trailer for you guys. Let's see it.
I haven't seen you in 11 years, though I've talked about you. Hunter Biden.
I love Candace.
I do too.
Yeah. I like Thomas Massey and Marjorie Taylor Greene. I like that there are people that have kind of woken up.
I have really only one question, one thing that has bothered me. So I just want to ask you point blank, did you drop off laptops?
No, the answer is no. I say to everybody, okay, show me your phone. Because I showed you mine, and you didn't find a goddamn thing.
We get approached by Israelis connected to Benjamin Netanyahu who are shopping this stuff to me at Fox News. The way that it entered the bloodstream of the American media was not real.
I don't have any more secrets. Donald Trump, I think he had such an opportunity. He just decided that all he was going to do was for himself.
One of my closest friends went off the deep end, and all of a sudden Trump's under the bed, and it's like, whoa. It's like
he was under my bed. just we are at an inflection point in this country.
What's your plan?
We are in desperate need of leadership.
Scary. Imagine him running against Tucker Carlson. He's running for the Democratic Party, and this guy's running for the
Well, why would anyone take any of these people seriously? I mean, Hunter Biden, in the course of this interview, agrees that the information that we have was his information, that the emails and the photos were, in fact, his emails and photos of him. So this giant distraction that he's setting us up for. And, you know, now that I hear the replay, it's quite plain. They're doing cover precisely for anti-Semites here. There's no question about it. We'll get into that later. But boy, that really, this promo really sharpened my focus on that very point.
I want to thank Apollo Zeus for £2. Thank you very much, Apollo Zeus. Let's go to the first clip about Candace Owens and his love for her, how much he likes her.
Hunter Biden, thank you for doing this.
Tucker Carlson.
I haven't seen you in 11 years, though I've talked about you. As you know.
In the meantime.
And then I wake up one morning and you're doing Candace Owens.
I love Candace.
I do too.
Yeah.
I do too. I've taken a lot of abuse for saying that, but I do. I know her, and I do. She's a great
as
person.
a person.
Yeah.
Forget the politics and anything, and largely why I'm sitting here. We've known each other for quite tangentially for 30 years.
Yes.
Is that she, as a human being, is a really, really good person. Yep. And thoughtful and generous and has a deep faith, and I just vehemently disagree with some of her positions.
A really nice person, James. She's so generous and thoughtful, don't you think?
Thoughtful. Let's set thoughtful to the side one here. So a second here. I prosecuted murderers who were charming people. I was a public prosecutor here in the United States for almost 18 years, and I can tell you that some of the worst criminals can be utterly charming, friendly, nice people. Notice too how they slop in religion, as if not being a mystic is somehow a character flaw by implication. So if you're rational, that's a character flaw against you. It really shows you how far we have to come culturally speaking in some circles. In any case, the thoughtful part. When you say thoughtful, you're saying that she's intelligent, her opinions are based in reality at least, and then you say, I really disagree. Well, those two things don't go together, being thoughtful and really having strong disagreements. Now, he doesn't specify the disagreements. Let's just review the bidding here on Candace Owen. She has the most bizarre anti-Semitic conspiracy theories about the origin of Zionism and Israel that you can possibly imagine. Straight up Jew hatred. This woman that's what her belief in the origins of Zionism amounts to. And it is a bizarre, detached from reality conspiracy theory that makes the Da Vinci Code look like sanity. Okay? This woman, and then of course, space is gay and fake, on and on. Yeah. Oh, no, 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 no. She's open-minded about the world being flat.
Oh, is she? I'm sorry, I just don't follow.
Yeah. The cult of science, she calls it. And we should be reasonable, don't you know, Jonathan, about whether the world is flat in the 21st century. No, this woman is, if she is to be believed, she's utterly psychotic and in need of serious psychiatric help. She's detached from reality. And so the debate comes with Tucker and with Candace. Are they grifters just going for clickbait, totally trolling us all? Or are they truly detached from reality? I would say that both can be true at the same time. In some contexts, it's clear that they are completely detached from reality, and they seem to believe it. And in other cases, it's obviously, they're just angling for clicks. And so I don't think that's an either or, let me put it that way, choice when it comes to these people. But Candace Owens is straight up nuts and an anti-Semite all over. She's finding Israel conspiracies with the Charlie Kirk assassination. She's finding, and it's systematically against Jews in Israel too. So, Tucker Carlson, he loves Qatar because after all, there's no gay pride parades in Qatar. And so he's a little more comfortable there than in New York City or Los Angeles. Yeah. You can see why, right? No, what unites them is in fact just that, a pathological anti-Semitism that infects both Candace and Tucker. Now, Hunter Biden, walking into this, had to have some idea of that controversy going on. And his sanction here is despicable. If someone said to me, well, you want to be interviewed by Candace Owen or you want to be interviewed by Tucker Carlson, I have enough information right now to say, absolutely not. I don't care if that would increase my profile 1,000-fold. I would not give them the time of day. They're truly evil, sick, both people. And so Tucker, but Hunter, you're telling me he didn't do the research? No, he knows. He could talk about various issues like this. So he has plenty of information base. Hunter Biden is simply giving sanction to the worst anti-Semitic voices. You're seeing it right here.
Well, we will hear about more such voices soon. And just on her being nice, like I'm thinking about the fact that she was living off Ben Shapiro's show, right? She was he made her, didn't he? And
he sure did.
And now she was waiting for so long just to reveal her vicious hatred of his kind. We can say that is not very nice. That's not very generous. That's not a nice way to take advantage of somebody who's given you a great opportunity. That is she doesn't strike me as nice at all, actually. Not that it matters in this context. You can be. I'd rather have somebody
really
not nice.
She's capable of nasty meanness.
Yeah.
She's absolutely capable of nasty. How would you describe her allegations that the First Lady of France has a penis?
I was just thinking about that. Yeah.
Is that a nice thing? A thing a nice person would do, whatever their information base? I mean, what has she been to the ladies' room or the women's locker room with Brigitte and seen it? No. So by pushing that like she does, and who cares anyway, frankly, but by pushing it, I don't care what the Macrons are, anyway, but by pushing it the way she does, come on, there's nothing nice about that.
Absolutely not. I want to thank Bullmoons211 for 15 shekels. Thank you very much. He says, kicks off with, you were doing Candace Owens, might actually explain a few things. Yeah, I think it will, and we'll see more of that. Why don't we go to the next clip, Dan?
And I saw I like Thomas Massey. I like where Marjorie Taylor Greene is going. I like that there are people that have kind of woken up to but a lot of the reason that we're here is because of Fox News. A lot of it has to do.
Well, we're in a
with-
war right now because they were losing because
Yeah.
of Fox News. I
Yeah.
couldn't agree more.
And so
Excuse me, woken up to what exactly? It didn't specify. What does it mean, woken up to? James, do you know what he's referring to?
Thomas Massie didn't wake up to anything. Thomas Massie has always been an opponent of Trump. Okay, so that's a mischaracterization. Marjorie Taylor Greene was a supporter of Trump for a while, but it is, of course, her ideology that drove her, anti-Israel ideology that drove her, in part, away from Trump. So it's not as though they discovered some new ideals, as Hunter Biden is suggesting here. It's that their old ideals have caused them to hate. And it's like with Tucker Carlson. Tucker Carlson was at the White House in this Trump 2.0 administration more than once. He was at the Republican convention a couple of years ago. He spoke at Trump's Republican convention that nominated him for the third time. So the truth of the matter is that they're creating this impression that a bunch of people who had supported Trump are now jumping ship on him. And to the extent that they're jumping ship because of Trump's war against Iran, that now I think we found the unified field theory here. Anyone who is critical of Trump's war with Iran is on our side. Now, you can be Hunter Biden, you can be Thomas Massie, you can be Marjorie Taylor Greene, a variety of nuts. And what unites the nuts into a single bag is just exactly that. We oppose Trump's war with Iran.
And I suppose they oppose it, James, because they're not fighting to defeat Iran, right? That's the problem, isn't it?
Oh, they never wanted the war in the first place. Oh, they would have been much happier with, an Obama agreement sending billions to them so that they could wage more terrorism, kill more Israelis and Americans. That's the goal, their goal. They want appeasement of the Muslim world in general. Tucker in particular, Candace in particular, they want America to be full appeasement, cut off all aid to Israel, as far as I can see, cut off relations with Israel, declare Netanyahu a war criminal, and coddle every Muslim state out there, including the Islamic Republic of Iran.
Absolutely. And we've discussed also Thomas Massie on the channel, the campaign that was, it was Kentucky, the state, I think, the vile anti-Semitic propaganda that he was putting out there. Thankfully, he was lost. He lost. Maybe there's some hope. The fact that he wouldn't be able to be elected by the Kentucky people. Good for them. But scary things. This looks like this is where we are heading, James. That's very scary.
This idea that somehow the Israeli government calls the shots in Washington, D.C., has complete diabolical mind control over the world policy and American foreign policy it's another anti-Semitic trope. It's insane. But it's their way of dismissing the idea that America actually gets something for its support for Israel. America has a huge selfish interest in supporting Israel. America's interest should be in displacing this government in Tehran. So rather than focus on the facts that demonstrate Iran to be, the world's leading sponsor of terrorism, review the bidding on how many Americans and Israelis they've killed over the last 50 years, rather than focus on why Iran is a threat, focus on their ballistic missile program, et cetera, et cetera. And what has happened since October 7th, 2023. Now, again, that's a huge thing that they have to evade. A huge thing. Iran was the main supporter of Hamas and Hezbollah, by the way. There would have been no October 7th, but for the funding that came from Tehran. We can't say these things out loud, because if we say these things out loud, then we'll establish how America has a national interest in taking out the current Islamic government of Iran. Can't do that. So it's just completely arbitrary, and Israel is like a puppet master controlling us when America has we're all blind. Our support for Israel over the last 50 years has been, a matter of simple button pushing from, the Jews who run the world. It's disgusting. It's despicable. It's based on a ridiculous conspiracy theory and an anti-Semitic trope, and it is designed to get us to evade the actual facts that make it clear that Iran is a national security threat to the United States, even though they're on the other side of the planet.
Let's watch the next clip.
would know that we knew each other?
Yeah.
Right. No one could fake that, and that our wives were friends and all that stuff. So, but it's Washington. You know everybody there.
Yeah.
So then I hear this story about how, then the official story comes out about how the laptop was left. You left a couple of laptops in a laptop repair store in Greenville, Delaware, which a town I'm very familiar with. So, and the guy was blind. Then I interviewed the guy who seemed to totally believe the story, John McIsaac. I mean, he seemed to be telling the truth, but the story did not make sense. Meanwhile, we get approached by Israelis connected to Benjamin Netanyahu, like I know that, who are shopping this stuff to me at Fox News.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I don't think that part of the story, the laptop is real. I thought that from day one. But the way that it entered the bloodstream of the American media was not real. So I just want to ask you point blank, did you drop off laptops?
No. And this is the thing that I've said over and over again. I have literally zero recollection or memory of ever dropping off a laptop at John Paul McIsaac's. No, the answer is
he doesn't remember. He's just forgotten, and it's
given how drug-addled. Yeah, well, given the amount of drugs that he reports taking, and that we have corroboration that he was taking, I don't know that he would remember at that time. But the fact is that is the only, and it's funny, Tucker on the one hand will say, I spoke to the guy, I have no reason to doubt him, he believes it, he gives us no reason to doubt the story, and by the way, that appears to be the only information we have from the FBI and others, is that Hunter Biden dropped off his laptop and forgot about it, and it was abandoned property. And that's the reason why it was there at the repair shop and sent to the FBI. And the FBI had it at least as early as 2019. Okay, so how it came to be known. There was a giant lie being told by major government officials who had worked for the Obama administration, saying it was complete Russian disinformation. Did Hunter Biden say, no, this is my laptop? No, he went along with that lie. So how it became known to the public is in part his fault. He didn't come out and say, oh yeah, that's pictures of me, those are my emails. He didn't come clean in any way. He was happy to go along with the giant lie that was being told in the media about how it was a Russian disinformation, which is what they needed for the election period, at least.
So now they changed it to Israeli disinformation. That's an update to the story, James?
Oh, yes. Well, Israelis started, they're not claiming that the Israelis were behind getting the laptop to the government or to anyone. What they're saying is that once it became known, then the Israelis started shopping information about Hunter Biden to him. Well, wait a minute. Let's assume that it's even true that there were Israelis trying to sell information. What was that information? What are they saying? Was it true? No. Israelis are now talking to me about you after the laptop. See those wicked Israelis? I don't get it. I don't get the connection here. If once that story breaks.
He said not just Israelis, James. He said Israelis connected to Netanyahu. Who are these Israelis? In what way are they connected to Netanyahu?
Okay, the truth is I have no reason to believe Tucker Carlson. I have every reason to suspect him. I believe he's a dishonest man. I think he is both dishonest and mentally out of it to some degree. So I have every reason to disbelieve Tucker Carlson. His say-so doesn't move the dial for me one bit. But let's assume that even every word that he just said there was true. Is there anything nefarious going on at all? Not that I can hear. And look, Tucker, why didn't you just obey what the Israelis wanted you to do and cover that story that way? Similarly here, it's funny because Tucker was ruthless on Biden. They don't talk about that, but we've been friends for 30 years. Who'd know we'd be friends? See, it's our old friendship coming back and being breathe new life into our friendship because we're brothers, we're dear old friends. Total BS. They admit that there's no reason for them to have known that they were friends all this time. But I can tell you over the last several years, Tucker was not friendly to Hunter Biden.
That's just remarkable how everything you can say, it's enough now in a media, this guy, millions are following this Tucker. For those who don't know, this is, I think the 10th or he's in the top 20 biggest podcasts in the world. He used to be higher, by the way. I think he dropped quite a lot recently.
He owes everything to Fox News.
Yeah,
he owes everything to Fox News. He wouldn't have one 50th of his viewership if he didn't have that national show on Fox News. He owes his entire base of viewers to Fox News, and there he is ripping on Fox News. So, and it's a talk about, you can add to the conspiracy theory. Not only is it the government of Israel, apparently it's Rupert Murdoch and the folks at Fox News who engineered us. So I guess Rupert gets together with Netanyahu. They are going to hatch a plot to deceive America into a war with Iran. That is in effect what we're being told. Utterly bizarre. Utterly bizarre. There are plenty of now get this, I watch Fox News at least enough to tell you that there are plenty of anti-war voices over there, because there are anti-war voices on the American right. I mean, we just named some. They named some earlier on, but there are, and that you will hear that over at Fox. In any case, it is not if the American people if the Republican Party and independents continue to support Trump in the initial phases, and that Trump support is now going away rapidly, completely evaporated from what I can tell in the polls. I don't think that hinged on Fox News one way or another, because Fox News was airing both sides of it all along. So we can add to their conspiracy theory, as I say. Netanyahu, Murdoch, they're pulling the puppet strings that caused this war. No, it had nothing to do with October 7th. No, it had nothing to do with Iran's attack, 2 attacks, missile barrages on Israel. No, it had nothing to do with, no. All that context gets dropped. And it's Fox News and Netanyahu that are manipulating behind the scenes America into a war.
But James, it's kind of odd to me. If Israelis try to persuade Americans of going to war with Iran, have the Americans no sense of judgment of their own? If it's nonsense, they can't just see through it. Why is it such a problem that there are voices in the media trying to sell the American stories anyway? I don't even understand that.
We have declined as a culture. Epistemological, I don't mean to get all philosophical here, but epistemological standards have declined so much in the media that, nonsense is peddled as truth. People who are too busy being plumbers and doctors and lawyers who rely upon certain information sources they trust, you can't trust them, ladies and gentlemen. Don't rent your mind out to those media sources, ladies and gentlemen. Absolutely not. But what can you say? There are people who evade reality on such a scale that there are still people saying that, the atrocities of October 7th didn't happen.
Yeah.
And when you're dealing with people who don't bother to check the facts, even to that extent, and to assert an opinion on this, that is a state of cultural bankruptcy, ladies and gentlemen. You got to get out there, find the information for yourself. It's there, the correct information. You can find it, but unfortunately, people have to do their own, in effect, investigation and hunting. You can't trust Fox News. That's true. You can't trust CNN. You can't trust the New York Times. That's true. We've been lied to. They've been promoting Hamas lies now for more than 2.5 years, Jonathan. So, use a variety of news sources, people, and check the facts on those news sources, because we're in a very sad cultural state when it comes to the news and people's state of information about reality.
James, also, I think of all that talk about Israel running America, while at the same time I think about the quite almost cartoonish level of, how do you call it, a bribe that the American president is getting from Qatar, that his family is getting from Qatar and other Arab countries, all these deals, all this crypto stuff. Like, there's so much obvious corruption going on with very specific countries in the Middle East that are not Israel. But you don't see anybody saying something about Qatar is running America.
See, that's a really good point. We were talking about the Biden influence peddling scheme, where tens of millions of dollars were raked in by the Biden family while Mr. Biden was president. What's going on now is, of course, The same, only apparently at a grander scale. He's charging money for an early peek at Truth Social. Trump is charging money for an early peek at Truth Social. What is that? Is he selling in political insider information or what? That's dubious right there, obviously. But more than that, whether it's a crypto coin or you name it, Mr. Trump is getting very rich, and his family is getting rich while he's in office. So it's not just the Bidens. Trump has taken it even to a new. That's the story of American politics, I'm afraid, Jonathan. We keep, when corruption happens, the one side defends it. It's because it's their people doing it. The other side points it out. You darn corrupt person, next administration, even if it's a new party, they will engage in the corruption only worse. And this is like a descending stair step toward demagogic fascism and corruption that America is on. It's not a very pretty story. And yeah, no, everyone talks about the ones Israeli control, but no one talks about Qatari influence. But yeah, Trump is trying so hard to be the world peacemaker. He wants the expansion of the Abraham Accords, not just the United Arab. He wants Saudi Arabia. Boy, would that be the crown of his achievement. Forget the fact that individual rights aren't respected in those countries. Forget the fact that Saudi Arabia could kill a critical journal, could chomp up, put into, in effect, the wood chipper, a critical journalist in Turkey. No. All that context is dropped, and Trump is willing to bend over, in effect. And so, smelling that blood in the water, places like Qatar and Saudi Arabia know how to press Trump's buttons and are doing so very effectively. I would say that in the war with Iran, the reason why Trump keeps stopping, it's because the other, the Arab Muslim states in the area are saying, stop, we don't want this to happen. You have to at some point say, even as they're getting missiles dropped at them, they're saying, hold on. And Mr. Trump, I think, you want to know the ear that he's giving is to the United Arab Emirates and Oman and Saudi Arabia and the King of Jordan. And those are the people who seem to me to be having a much greater influence over American policy than Mr. Netanyahu right now. If Mr. Netanyahu, if I were president, boy, they would say I was in the pocket of Mr. Netanyahu, because what I would have said is, well, Bibi, let's get together. You cut loose, we'll cut loose. Let's wipe the place out as much as we can from the air. But no, he's pulling his punches at the behest of who? The Arab Muslim states.
Absolutely. Let's keep watching that.
Can I just say one thing, though, that this is what I experienced during that time? The allegation that there was abusive minors proven on the laptop, that came from the Israelis. I'm just telling you that. They came to me with that. So I know that. And one of the things that enraged me about the statement from those sleazy intel guys is that they blame the Russians for it. Now, maybe the Russians had a hand in it, but it was the Israelis who were pushing that. Fact. I mean, literally to me.
Yeah.
So,
and you've gone through it.
But they're all such slaves.
Is there
to
anything?
Israel.
I want to clear with your entire, not a single thing in anything that is in any way true about that.
Well, that's such a serious crime that I think it's just common sense that if there was evidence of that,
you think that it's common sense, but I'll tell you what, about 40 million people on X don't think that. I mean, it's like
there was an abuse of minors in there. If there was evidence,
how many people call me a pedophile to this day? Anyway, I'll spare you, but I'm not. But I agree with you. That's exactly right. And it's
But they were pushing that so hard, and all the intel guys were like, "Oh, it's Russia." It's like, you lie, because they called me. I sent one of my producers out to go meet with a guy connected to Netanyahu. They were behind that, and I felt that everybody in DC knew that, but there was so much pressure never to criticize Israel in any way that they were just like, it's the Russians. It's the Russians. They're the ones penetrating our political system. It's like, you lie. Everyone knows what's actually happening. This was my perspective.
Penetrating our political system? Look, no credible news agency reported any allegations of pedophilia against Hunter Biden. None. 4chan did. Certain really not credible websites did. No, and so I don't know how many people on X believe it, Mr. Biden, but it was never covered in the major media in the United States, full stop. Not the Wall Street Journal, not the Washington Times, not Fox News, not Newsmax, not the New York Post. None of the conservative outlets in America or the right of center outlets in America treated that seriously at all. And so what they failed to note is that if Israel was peddling this story against Hunter Biden, it had zero impact on mainstream media. Now, secondly, I don't believe a word out of Tucker Carlson's mouth on this one. I don't. Tracking it down, I could see that it was sources like 4chan. And I'm not sure 4chan is a tool of the Israeli government. But I saw nothing associated with Israeli sources on this at all whatsoever. Now, Tucker also says, well, they all said it was the Russians. Okay. What I'm willing to believe is that everyone thought it was the Russians who were trying to promote that story. Whether it's true or false, I don't know. Because Hunter Biden's character is not something I would defend. So on the face of it, I grant you I have no evidence for it, so I'm not going to take it seriously until we do have evidence for it. On the other hand, would it surprise me? No. Hunter Biden has rotten moral character, really rotten moral character. And he's 3 sheets to the wind on drugs for much of the last several years anyway, so Lord knows what he did. In any case, you didn't hear the allegation in any credible media source. What you heard it from was dubious internet sources. And those dubious internet sources are not connected in any way, as far as I could tell, to Israel. And so what Tucker was being told is probably the truth. And what Tucker is telling us is probably just an outright lie. I'd like to see the receipts, Tucker. And if you could show me those receipts, then we could at least track down what maybe there is actual information that Hunter Biden. See, frankly, I want to see those receipts to check the evidence, right? And they could help lead us to evidence. But no, Tucker leaves it all vague. People he knows associated with Netanyahu. And that's all we get. And all we get is a vague description that they were somehow pushing this. What? No, I don't believe a word out of Tucker Carlson's mouth when it comes to Hunter Biden being accused of pedophilia, because it was never a serious allegation in the media anyway.
I hope somebody from Israel would sue him for slander, if that's possible. I don't know, James, you're the lawyer, but a lot of
you'd have to prove damages. But yeah, if you make a specific lie like that, yeah, that's puts you on the hook theoretically, at least, for defamation.
I would love to say, and I'm quite surprised that Tucker Carlson isn't facing already a bunch of slander lawsuits, if he isn't already, because he says
defamation is very hard to prove. In the United States, the First Amendment has, as I say, set several roadblocks. If you're a public figure, you have to show actual malice in the defamation. You have, as I say, you have to show damages as an element of the offense. Which in, say, British defamation law, you don't have to do. Old British defamation law, truth, the actual truth doesn't matter. In American defamation law, truth does matter, things like that. So it's much harder in the United States to succeed with a civil case of defamation. Very difficult, especially if you're a public figure, where you have to prove that they were malicious in spreading the lie.
Well, in his case, I think with so much of his fixation against Israel, against the Jews, against Netanyahu especially, perhaps such a case could be, and I would love to see the court.
They don't want me on the jury because I can smell their malice against Israel from a mile away. Yeah.
And also, what I found really surprising is I go back to the earlier statement of Hunter Biden. He doesn't remember. He didn't deny. Don't you find it interesting, James? Like even he didn't say that it didn't happen. He said he doesn't remember. Like, isn't that curious?
Does he remember all of the experiences in the hotel room with the crack and the prostitutes? I doubt it. I mean, his memory, if that we're going to go with a drug addict's memory, when the last 10 years are half clouded with this guy using hard drugs. Okay. Whether he remembers something or not is not terribly meaningful to me. Okay. I doubt he remembers all of those naked pictures with the prostitutes as they're all doing crack in his motel room. Okay. I just somehow doubt that.
So let's watch another clip of these two pathological liars.
Interviews over 35 years, and I've never had the feeling of wanting to run out of a room more strongly than I had when I talked to Sam Altman. So he's out of 350 million Americans, he's probably 350 millionth of who I'd trust.
Yet
to control the future of humanity.
Yet here we are, right?
Yeah.
Yet here we are, and you know what we're doing is I'm supposed to hate Tucker Carlson because he's an anti-Semite and he's this. I know you're not. You're not an anti-Semite. I 100% know you're not an anti-Semite.
No.
Yeah. No. That's what my point being is that.
I would just say so.
My point being is that, like, if it's anti-Semitic to point out that Bibi Netanyahu is evil incarnate, then you know what? I don't know what to say to people anymore. I mean, all you have to do is just open your eyes. Just literally open your eyes. Open your heart for 1 minute.
Yeah.
And realize, you know,
it's such an obvious lie. It's like, who's even intimidated by that anymore?
My point is like, how is it possible that they're dividing us on things like that?
I agree.
And I can tell you how it's possible. It's the distraction that is being created by a handful of individuals and the people that work for them to keep us divided through our.
It's the Jews. They are causing us to be distracted by accusing us of anti-Semitism. These Jews, after all, James.
Anyone who could say, all you have to do is open your heart to see that Benjamin Netanyahu is evil incarnate is an anti-Semite. Let me repeat, I'll go very slowly. If, in fact, all you have to do is open your heart and see that Benjamin Netanyahu is, quote, evil incarnate, you, Mr. Biden, are an anti-Semite. To go along with it, Tucker, you're just confirming to the world that you are, in fact, an anti-Semite. Little history lesson for the 1,000th time. More than 20 years ago, Israel left Gaza. They forcibly relocated Israel's out of the Gaza Strip, turned it over to the Palestinians who lived there. They immediately elect Hamas in a plurality, and within days start lobbing rockets at Israel. Their entire cause to exist was not to make their people better. It was not to create a decent place for Palestinians to live in Gaza. It was to destroy Israel in their genocidal, openly stated genocidal quest to destroy Israel. Fast forward, October 7th, the atrocities, the aggression. Netanyahu has been engaged in a war of self-defense since then. If anything, he has pulled his punches. He ought not to have warned people to get out of buildings before he bombed them. He ought not to have moved enemy populations before bombing the area. He ought not to have been concerned about feeding the enemy population. All of those were unprecedented steps in the history of warfare when you have valid self-defense on your side. And anyone after October 7th can see that, or they are an anti-Semite. Full stop. And now when you say something like he's evil incarnate, now he didn't use the word genocide, but obviously that's the background radiation here. What Netanyahu did was frankly not enough. If I were the prime minister of Israel, you would have seen, they would have declared me to be evil incarnate after the first week, I guess. But no, sir. If you can let those words escape your mouth when Israel has been fighting a war of self-defense, they are surrounded by enemies funded, by the way, mostly by Iran, like Hamas, Hezbollah, the Houthis. Okay, Israel is fighting an existential war for its own existence. And you're saying that Netanyahu is evil incarnate when he's gone to all of these steps to make sure it wasn't a genocide going on in Gaza. That is so factually upside down, as I say, that the assertion that all you need to do is open your heart and see that Benjamin Netanyahu is evil incarnate, that is a naked statement of anti-Semitism.
You just have to feel it. It's obviously not something you can see because no facts ever point that way. I mean, you could say, I suppose, because Netanyahu has been so weak, you could say he has done enough to defeat the Palestinians. He hasn't done
you
enough
know,
against Iran.
as
That's
critical
also,
as
you
I've been,
can't say
I
that.
think that Netanyahu has, I will criticize Netanyahu to the point of saying I think it's criminally irresponsible. I think the way he handled it. That's true. And I'll go so far as to say that it was his lack of moral conviction here, his submitting to world opinion to the degree that he has, that has hobbled Israel's efforts at self-defense. But I still wouldn't use the word evil incarnate any more than I would use the word evil incarnate about, let's take some other military action. Because of, I can say it was completely wrong of us to ally ourselves with Stalin. Was our war with Hitler immoral as a result? No. In effect, that's what we're being told here. No, Benjamin Netanyahu, if there's any evil, anything approaching evil, it's his failure to properly defend the Israeli people.
Well, his enemies
we have to do more.
I mean, the Palestinians are the purest representation of evil. The acts of October 7th. Exactly.
See, when you've got the Palestinians, when you've got Hamas and the Islamic Republic of Iran on the chessboard, and you call Netanyahu evil. Okay, the Iranian government just slaughtered at least 40,000 of their own people who were objecting to stuff. Go to remember the atrocities on October 7th. That's Hamas. No, indeed, that's the Palestinians of Gaza. Okay, and in that context, say Netanyahu is the evil one? These people, I mean, think of the atrocities on October 7th. That's evil, ladies and gentlemen. Wow. Just wow. Talk about upside down, backwards, inside out. No. You're right. Hamas, Iran, that's evil. Benjamin Netanyahu not doing enough to defend Israel. How many more Israelis? I guess we have to suck it up with more October 7th. I guess we just have to take it. No matter how many Israelis or Americans get slaughtered and tortured and kidnapped, we just have to suck it up, Jonathan.
And reminds me of the other video we've seen on the channel about how Israelis shouldn't be allowed to be abroad and how much trouble they're causing when they are tourists as well. Israelis shouldn't be in Europe, shouldn't be in South America, shouldn't be in Israel. They just shouldn't exist. That's the ultimate conclusion.
The existence, well, we've covered it again and again. Just the presence of fans of an Israeli sports team, or the very presence of a Israeli contestant in a music contest in Europe, will cause people to freak out. Don't you know that's reasonable provocation, Jonathan? Yeah. How dare these Israelis show up for their football team? How dare they be involved in a television music contest?
Or how dare Jews go to their synagogue in Manchester?
Oh, yeah. They're going to a synagogue, Jonathan? Well, they were asking for it. Oh, that's the logic. That's really the sick logic. And I'm going to trust these people on who is evil incarnate? No.
Wow, that's quite something. It's quite a pair, and maybe they would ultimately run together. I didn't hear what they actually disagree on, by the way, James. I don't know if we have a clip then from the podcast on what they actually disagree, because I would be curious. But let's watch another clip.
So we've covered everything we wanted, but we could do one extra, either on Hunter Biden or on religion, or Hunter Biden on AI. Which of these do you guys want?
I want religion.
I'm sorry?
Religion. I want religion.
Okay, religion. But AI is, more timely in the news. I mean, both of them, see, you ask what they disagree about. The kind of things that they will agree about, or for example, AI needs to be regulated. We need to strap AI. AI is dangerous in every form. And so they would have these comprehensive bans, pauses, let's wait to develop this sort of thing. So this is the other thing that left and right are kind of starting to, on the edges of left and right, are agreeing on. Not just Israel, but we really need to put a big pause on AI. So with that stated,
statism and anti-Semitism. That's
right.
where.
So let's do religion now, since I basically summarized their agreement on AI.
Let's see it.
to be authentic about everything. There are also the ways in which I can do it, in which I hopefully can put food on the table.
Last question is about faith. How has this affected how you feel about God and changed your relationship with
I don't
God?
know whether I would say that it's changed, but it is deep in my in belief in whether you want to call it, I do, as God, is the absolute certainty of this. There is literally, in both the theological but also metaphysical sense, no distance between me and you or anyone. We are all literally connected. And that connection, that universal connection to everything, is what I refer to as God. Is us realizing that all of our fear is a delusion, is being separated. It's all the idea. And so my faith is in the fact that I know that that there is not a that there's not a sentient being that is not that literally is me.
What?
I am not you, Hunter Biden. Thank goodness I am not you, Hunter Biden. I feel the metaphysical distance between the two of us. Let me just put it that way. No, it is the oldest thing in the argument in the book. You know, it has its early rumblings in Plato, and it comes to full flowering in Hegel and Marx. But there are really no individuals, Jonathan. You think you are you and I am I? No, that's just an illusion. We're all connected. We're all so connected that there's really no difference between you and me, and therefore collectivism, and therefore communism. And so the classic idea of the corporate state or the corporate society, that we're all just deceived into thinking that we're separate, distinct individuals, you see. No, ladies and gentlemen, individualism is not only metaphysically, not only am I a distinct person from Hunter Biden, metaphysically and in fact, but this idea of destroying the distinction that is the individual, the identity, the reality of the individual, because it is only individualism that can defend freedom. And we are individuals, so we need freedom, ladies and gentlemen. This is the formula for squashing individuals in the name of some giant abstraction, capital S society. This is a formula for an ocean of blood. This is a Holocaust waiting to happen. When someone says individuals really don't exist, we're all just connected to a giant collective. Okay? They're trying to squash the individual interest out of consideration. There can be no other motive.
I'm just a bit perplexed how does the whole anti-Israel thing follow from that? Like, I don't understand.
It's like an instinct. The subconscious is telling them that Israel is the comparatively individualistic place. You know, it's true with all of that other stuff, whether it's AI or their other religious discussion or the discussion of Israel. It is. It's their mysticism. Now, this is the thing, ladies and gentlemen. If you've not read the works of Ayn Rand, I urge you to do so. She understands the relationship between mysticism and collectivism. She understands the motive behind all that in power lusters like this. So, yeah, they are mystics. Let me also give a quote from Ayn Rand. Every dictator is a mystic, and every mystic is a potential dictator. One of my favorite quotes from Ayn Rand. And what you're hearing here in this defense of collectivism is exactly that. You see, because don't believe your damn lion eyes. There are separate individuals out there. The truth is invisible, that we're all sort of collectively here. So never mind when individual interests get squashed along the way as we achieve the greater good for capital S society. Ladies and gentlemen, the answer to all the crap that you just heard there is to be found in the philosophy of the novelist Ayn Rand. I urge you to read her work and become a paid member of this channel. And you will, if you do, you can take part in seminars, for example, that we do on Sunday, where we analyze the philosophy of Ayn Rand, a philosophy of reason and individualism, ladies and gentlemen. The very opposite. See, you'll notice the other interesting thing here is that you've got a figure from the left and a figure from the right. And what they can agree about is mysticism and collectivism.
Which is the most important, and altruism, I suppose, ultimately, right? The moral application of that, absolutely. That's quite scary. That's quite scary.
Very, very scary.
This is the future, especially what he said about leadership, because that's the kind of leadership.
We need leaders who don't care about the individual. We need leaders who are willing to squash individuals in their quest for the good society, capital S.
Well, also, I would recommend reading The Ominous Parlors if we're talking about literature, because that's what the book is about.
If you, again, 44 years ago, my teacher and mentor, Leonard Peikoff, wrote a brilliant book. And fast forward to today, he warned us of the fascist direction that we are heading in today. And it is so much more obvious today than it was more than 40 years ago when he said it. He made a powerful case. He made a case that convinced me. I didn't need the last 44 years. But ladies and gentlemen, experiencing the last several years in particular has only confirmed to me that that book nailed it.
Well, we're concluding. James, perhaps tell us where can people find you?
Here at the Objectivist Media Network. I lead those seminars on Sunday where we discuss Leonard Peikoff, the guy who wrote The Ominous Parallels. He wrote a book on the philosophy of Ayn Rand. We're covering that in great detail every Sunday morning. Join us there, please. I'm active on social media. At Facebook, I'm James Stevens Valiant. I answer questions there almost every day, so hit me up over there if you got one.
Thank you very much, James.
Thank you.
I'm Jonathan Deon. I'm on Substack at philosophyindy.com. Link is in the description.
Good Substack, people.
And I'm working on a big essay on Mamdani. Actually, one of the episodes here inspired me to go deep. And I have a very interesting case to make there. So stay tuned for that. It's going to be a big...
check that out.
All right. Thank you very much. This was the Daily Objective. We'll be here tomorrow at the same hour. Until then, have a safe and great weekend. Thank you very much.
Be safe.
And we have a last-minute super chat from Bonnie. Thank you so much. With that, thank you again, and bye-bye.
Thank you.